Here we go.
There's a calm surrender through the rush of fate. I thought you literally before we went live said, Tom, can you start singing Lion King songs? And I said, sure, why not? I don't know what the cold open is, but
yeah, I would never ask that.
You said
I would never ask
said,
that.
Tom, please help me become a Pokemon master. And I said, first of all, you got to catch them all.
Okay. Are you putting in your eyes?
Oh, baby. We here.
Oh, the pin. The pin is blue.
The pen is blue.
It is blue. We steer.
You in the right direction. Welcome to another edition of the Grossi Perna Show. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. And this is GPS. The S stands for...
Suck it. You've been fired.
Me? Yes.
Okay, it's the Perna Show today, and we are going to be talking about our favorite butts in the NFL. We're going to power rank the butts.
All right,
then
so
tier list the
folks, we're
butts.
back on. Contract negotiation just happened real quick. That was the contract negotiation. I want to be on the right side. Thank you very much. Sorry, but folks, welcome.
I don't like it.
To another edition. I
don't like it.
I don't like it either.
It's there we go. For some reason, that's better.
You know what? I've acquiesced. I found out I'm a terrible negotiator, and things are worse. We got a lot to talk about today. We had Antonio Pierce going out for a press conference saying, as far as I know, my job is safe. Turns out it wasn't. Got fired yesterday. So we'll talk about that and go over all the head coaching vacancies. Yeah, the Titans, they're firing their GMs. There is no more cooking to be done there. And it's the NFL. It's a mess. Tyreek Hill changed his profile picture to Antonio Brown, then he changed it back to the Dolphins, and that's going back and forth, and his complete lack of effort. Happening in that Week 18 game. It's a mess.
Tyreek Hill's so annoying. He's so annoying.
Just not a fan. But you would, hey, maybe it goes on the Broncos, right? It goes on the Broncos, maybe. So.
Tyreek? Yeah. I don't know. I think he's peaked. I think he's on the downslope of his NFL career.
Damn right. Suck it, Dan Snyder. True justice prevailed. You only made like $7 or $8 billion. Got him.
You really got him, dude.
Got him. Yeah, I'm very happy for Commanders fans, though. I'm very happy for Commanders fans. They deserve all of this. Screw Dan Snyder forever.
No, Commanders, they're in the playoffs. They weren't in there. They haven't been in since, when's their last playoff appearance?
Summer of 1969.
It was a long time ago. They
were there for 2020. There was their East Saga they made.
Their last victory. Their last victory.
Oh, their last victory. Okay, yeah. It's been a while.
Broncos in. They weren't there last year. Vikings weren't in last year, were they? Vikings didn't make it in, right?
Vikings into the playoffs?
Yeah, they weren't in the playoffs.
The Minnesota Vikings. We don't talk about them. Last time I saw them, they lost to the Giants in the wild card round. I hope the Packers don't lose in the wild card round. So I hope so.
Yeah, it's not good when your team's searching for free agents.
Here's Samuel. No, and that's what the Packers are doing right now. We're calling some folks, and we're like,
anybody come play for us?
Yeah, hey. You could play in the wide receiver or corner. All right,
Calvin Johnson. Hey, Calvin Johnson, how you feeling, buddy?
I would love Calvin Johnson just came back. Can you imagine comes back for the Packers? That's the world I want to live in.
Of all villains.
That's what I want to. Yeah. We get. Can Barry Sanders still go? He can still go. It'll be fine. Falcons going to fire anyone yet? Well, I don't know. I don't know if the Falcons are going to be making that move. I might think they have a soft spot made for Raheem Morris. They might give him another year.
Why would you want and done him? Why would you one and done?
There's a lot of
Raheem?
Falcons fans who are very upset with the way the last few games went. I mean, in terms of they had a winning record, they had control of the division, they swept the Buccaneers, and then
Kirk Cousins fell off a cliff. You know,
he did. Sure,
like
and they
that's
lost to the Panthers.
Like, you're gonna blame Raheem Morris for Kirk Cousins getting bitch slapped by Father Time? I don't think so.
I think so.
Like, there's already been six coaches fired, right? You do not want to be the seventh team looking for a head coach. And it's not to say that Raheem Morris is definitely the guy or the answer, but Jesus, one and done is like, you really don't want your head coach to be one and done unless you know for sure he's very, 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 very bad.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know with.
I think there's some to be desired, but yeah, I can understand the disappointment from Falcons fans. You have one additional win from where you were last year. You paid Kirk. Again, like, this isn't all Raheem Morris's fault, obviously, but there were certain expectations heading into this season, and those were just not met. That's a Brandon Perna question. Maybe an offseason. That's what we really need to dive into. The NFL butt rankings. We
can have Carmi help us with those. She finds butts so hilarious.
What is your nickname again? Is it Tootie McTuderson? What was it?
Tootie McTuderson. Yesterday,
farting.
She left like her socks on my chair for where we eat dinner. I was like, "What are these?" She was like, "Socks, socks." And then she was like, "Can I have a sock birthday party next year?" I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, so she's a little maniac right now. It's basically
she's like a sock cake, and I was like, "Yeah, maybe everybody will make sock puppets." And she's like, "Yeah," and then she goes, "Can I have a butt crack party?" It's like, what?
Again, Brandon, you never, ever need a DNA test. I mean, never, not even once, my friend. That is your child.
Yes,
that is
100%. And I made the parenting move. And I was like, you know what? I don't think the other kids' parents would be happy if we had a butt crack party.
Is it just like pictures of like plumbers like all over the
I don't
walls
know.
and stuff like that, like balloons and just, I mean, make work. Shout out trade school, shout out the trades, it could really just come together. Bro, we're trying to survive the next 3 weeks of this season before we get to mock draft anything. We'll get there in April. That's be a bit
mock drafting. Yeah, we're still in the playoffs, and I get it. If you're a team who's not in the playoffs, that's your next thing, right? The draft.
Yeah,
actually, it should be free agency, but
it should be free agency.
Man, I was trying to find. There was a list of all the one and done head coaches over the last few years.
True,
There's
Delta.
So many.
There's some teams that are a little anxious about their offseason. The Bengals, I think, should be one of them, considering what are they going to do with their wide receivers?
The Bengals, they got to pay.
Real interesting.
They got to pay
49ers, the Jets. There's going to be a lot of teams who are going to be making some moves in this offseason. The Saints, they just going to blow it all up. They going to do it? I need more rated X pornography. Well, that's why if you join Brandon Perna's channel memberships, every Thursday night, you get to see a little bit more shin. He just reveals a little bit more bit by bit until, baby, not even a shin guard would cover that whole thing.
Shins? Isn't that a band? The Shins?
Maybe. I think it's the Smiths.
Yeah, I know the Smiths, but the Shins feel like a good band name.
I think it's Van Halen is who you're thinking of.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right. So one and done.
Yes, Dane.
A little more common than I think we even realize over the last 15 years, 14 years, whatever, 13 years.
This is only since 2010. Like, this is not a huge amount of time.
Yeah. So Hugh Jackson, Malarkey, Chudzinski. I forget about Rob Chudzinski.
Yeah, I do too.
The Chud. If your nickname is the Chud, you should not be the top dog in charge.
Oh, Chip Kelly.
Tom Sula. Oh, man. That was a weird... That was basically a interim whole year. Then Chip Kelly, Steve Wilkes, Poor Steve Wilkes. I don't think he really got a fair shake. Freddie Kitchens, fucking forgot about that guy.
Freddie Kitchens, yep.
Baker Mayfield survived Freddie Kitchens, and they still kicked Baker to the curb.
You know what's actually, Urban Meyer, of course, might be the most infamous on this list. You know what's even more disappointing? That Josh McDaniels is not on this list. I think like that's the most disappointing part about it. Because like in terms of like bad coaches, there's some not so great coaches. There's some inexperienced coaches on here. Yeah, Josh McDaniels is a bad football coach. He was bad. And so was Urban Meyer. Oh. And Urban Meyer was bad on so many levels. So many levels.
And it was, you know, when the Broncos fired Nathaniel Hackett the following season, like I had to clarify that Nathaniel Hackett was a bad head coach on equal parts with Urban Meyer, but Urban Meyer also seemed like a dick. Like he didn't care about the team. Like there was a lot of other things going on with Urban Meyer that I think people wanted to put on Nathaniel Hackett, and it just wasn't true. It was douchey guy and very nice guy, just horrible at his job. That was like the difference there. And I remember like, guys, he's not like Urban Meyer on so many levels. Unfortunately, on coaching, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
and
listen,
then, of course, Lovie Smith, who set up the Texans, Frank Reich, and now Mayo. But I was like, damn, that is a lot. I thought it happened less than this.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you look at the teams who are on that list as well, right? So Raiders, it's been a little tough finding some success. Jaguars, they had it one, and like also you mentioned the Urban Meyer thing. That's also why I have like the utmost respect for Trevor Lawrence to also go through that. And I've heard stories about how he handled that entire ordeal, and I just have a lot of respect for
Trevor.
Yeah,
T-Dog's good. We like T-Dog.
The Browns are on this twice.
The Browns, the Niners, the Raiders, the Texans. Multiple offenders.
So like the Texans, they seem to be
and the Jags. Holy shit.
They're in a better place. Jaguars, they just fired their head coach, so they're kind of still going through it. The 49ers, I think consistency, you know, they've been pretty solid. That's been pretty good. Broncos, they found their guy. You know, Panthers, it looks like looked like maybe not, but it looks like there's some optimism.
Dude,
yeah.
It's the same 5 fucking teams.
Yeah, man. Like,
and the Raiders, they technically are kind of on here 3 times. Josh McDaniels a season and a quarter. And then Antonio Pierce was an interim last year. So like he got a half a season. McDaniels got a half a season. That's like a cheat. I think that's a cheat code they purposely did.
Because they were trying to avoid this list.
This list 3 times.
The forefront of their mind. Yeah.
Damn.
Steven, it's going to be a challenge, man. I mean, the Eagles have a phenomenal secondary. It was their biggest need last year. They upgraded it tremendously. You got all pros back there now. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge.
Guantanamo Bay going to lock them down.
That's right, Jordan. Give them a call. I mean, like, we've talked about this numerous times because, like, with Mayo, now there's stories coming out of, like, he didn't know how to discipline the players and, like, you know, couldn't control the locker room. And how the Patriots handled this, and I want to be very clear, too, because you and I talked about this on Monday, right? Like, we were having this conversation. And Robert Kraft came out immediately and was like, this is my fault. Like, I put him in an untenable situation. Like, it's on me. Which, at the end of the day, Mayo is the one who's still fired, you know? So, like, he's going to suffer the consequences of that. But I at least, like, respect that. And that's kind of what we were alluding to, that while they had Drake May, right, they did not have a good offense. And it was just the lack of dynamic players there, and the offense had been struggling for a few seasons. The defense definitely took a step back, but to have a rookie head coach in there without any head coaching experience, like, that's a tough gig, especially for a team like the Patriots, because I feel like take the Steelers and the Packers, right? Because they're similar organizations in terms of, I would think, like, expectations. That's why you have some Steelers fans that are pretty upset right now because they don't want the same old, we go to the playoffs, one and done, we have this winning record, blah, blah, blah. And we've talked about this a million times. I feel like with the Patriots, the pressure is there because of how successful they were and all the titles that they won, that acceptance of mediocrity, the acceptance of like being a bad football team, may be a little bit of a shorter leash because they're like, hey, we need to get back to our winning ways. And I've spoken about this a ton. I even spoke about this with Mark Murphy before. This was last year, 2 years ago now, 2023. Like, if Jordan Love wasn't the guy, how much of a leash does he have? Like, it's like if he was like an okay quarterback, how long until they decide to move on and get somebody else? Because there's this expectation that once you're getting all those primetime games and you're getting the national spotlight and more people are buying jerseys and all that great stuff, like, that's very good for the organization. And as owners, you want to make money. And if you start being a terrible football team and you're not getting those primetime spots and nobody in the media is talking about you, your franchise is going to start losing money. Yeah. So, you know, the Patriots, they want to get back to their winning ways, just like every organization does. But I am curious to see what Kraft does. And if they do bring in a guy like Vrabel, I know they're also interviewing Ben Johnson to try and be like, hey, like, we need to kickstart this like right now. And Ben Johnson's only interviewing right now with the Bears and the Patriots during this bye week. Aaron Glenn, he's interviewing with a bunch of folks, the Jaguars, the Jets, they're on that list too. It's going to be really interesting to see what moves these organizations make and who's going to start shelling out some like serious money for a contender or a candidate like Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn.
Yeah. Ben Johnson to the Patriots makes a lot of sense. Obviously, he's got a young quarterback to work with, and that's why you're looking at Ben Johnson is his ability to game plan his offense. He helped Jared Goff with the Lions, and we all assumed Jared Goff was going to play like shit without Sean McVay, right? Like, that was the narrative. Like, oh, he's going there to die. He was a product of Sean McVay.
Yep.
And now we're getting the very best Jared Goff, and you would probably argue like Drake May has maybe more in his toolbox in terms of physical traits than Goff, but that would be a good hire for them. I think, like, if you're a Patriots fan, you're hoping that Robert Kraft makes this decision quickly because he sees that Mayo doesn't have what they need to win, and that based on all the success the Patriots have had, that's something that Robert Kraft can identify, right? Like,
sure.
It's one of those things where, like, you can just tell when he's got it type of thing. And he's like, oh shit, he doesn't have it. And there was like, I saw a tweet today about like Mayo was elected to play cards on the plane home instead of going over a game tape with the assistants or something.
Not great. Not ideal.
I mean,
well, it's funny, dude, because I don't know how much you dive into this. Like, I hear Matt LaFleur and I hear people talk about Matt LaFleur that are just like in the building and stuff, and like former coaches and former assistants, like good NFL coaches, bro, like they are obsessed with this in terms of like during the season, it is every waking moment. Like, you are working and doing this, right? And again, you're getting paid lots of money. It makes sense. This is your job as a professional. But it's like so when stories like that come out, or Urban Meyer is out like grinding with people, like that is not a normal thing. Can you imagine Bill Belichick, you know, it is like doing anything?
Actually, now I can imagine.
Now you can. Now he appears on the ring. That's after the season. But
dude, if we don't see Belichick doing at least one beer bong while he's coaching in college, I will be very disappointed.
It's true. James, we don't want to take that from your roommate. So they're doing a spreadsheet of the best butts for the fantasy football team. Okay.
Ooh.
You want to step on any toes?
Yeah.
You want to step on any toes?
Sam Laporta potty, baby. Go look at that dump truck.
Cordell, it's going to be interesting, but I feel like we've said this about the Saints a cajillion times. Every single time a season ends, it goes, how screwed are the Saints? And they wind up getting back. But again, it's because they just keep on kicking the can down the road. Eventually, they're going to have to burn things down. But we've been saying this ever since Drew Brees left. You know what I mean? Like, we've been talking about this for a while. A hot while.
Guess who's back? Back again.
What's your KD, buddy?
Tell your ears. It's Turtle Beach headphones. Yeah, Tommy boy. Ooh, do you like... What? I can't hear you. Oh, tomfoolery. You son of a gun. Hey, today's episode is sponsored by our friends Turtle Beach. the best gaming headphones, not just on planet Earth, but also on Venus. I just saw some photos of Venus, the most high quality photos we've ever had of Venus. You zoom in, you see little aliens. Guess what they're wearing? Turtle Beach headphones, the stealth headphones for the most immersive gaming experience you could have, Tom. You don't just want to play your games. You want to hear your games. You want to hear you sucking at your video games like I do, unless I'm playing Halo. And I can't wait for the playoffs to end so I can actually go back to enjoying some of my life and some of my free time.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, enjoying some of my life in free time.
We'll talk about it after the show. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. But I enjoy it with these while playing Halo. Oops, penalty on the NFL, unsportsmanlike conduct. Dude, did you see the tweet of the tweet? It was Jalen McMillan when he got flagged for he did one of these.
Yep.
And then I forget who tweeted it, but they're like, he was penalized for doing this, and then it just shows the Buccaneers pirate ship stadium.
And it's just like cannons. Yeah,
like they fire these cannons when they score touchdowns.
Yep, fire the cannons. It's true.
All right, the Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset picks up so much crystal clear sound, it's basically cheating.
I don't know why you're yelling.
I heard a mosquito in the game the other day, Tom. Played a little Red Dead. Heard my horse fart as well. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing.
Red Dead or Red Dead 2?
Red Dead 2. Brought it back to the butts. Did it for you guys. I
haven't played Red Dead 2. I played like 20 minutes and like years ago, and Red Dead 1's amazing.
I finished the whole thing. That was the last video game I played start to finish.
Mine was Ghost of Tsushima. I finally got to it this past year.
Yeah. I like to put them on when I game in bed. That way Jess can watch something on her iPad and I don't disturb. You know, she's been watching, she'll watch one of the housewife things, or she's been into RuPaul drag show lately. So I just let her watch that, put these on, zone into my game. Then I get my ass kicked.
I thought you were really good at Halo.
Huh?
I thought you were really good at Halo.
I am either great at Halo, I either get like 19 kills or 3 kills and 18 deaths.
Okay.
I'm the worst person to be on your Halo team as the fourth, because I either make the team very good or I'm the reason you lose.
That's
no
fair.
in between.
Got it.
You know, when like you're in your squad and they all run one way and then the other guy just goes and does his own thing. I'm the guy who does his own thing.
Leroy Jenkins, baby. Come
play with us. I'm like, that's when I mute them. I mute them so they can't talk to me anymore.
Well, you don't want to get bullied too.
Sorry, guys. But get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today for a limited time. This is our code, GPS, turtlebeach.com.
Is the code GPS,
I believe,
or is it just GPS?
10% off your entire order. 10% off your order. Turtlebeach.com, code GPS.
More than 8%.
You have been turtled.
I don't think that means what you think it means.
You've been turtled.
Is that the sound that turtle? I mean, I've heard sounds that turtles make. I've seen videos. I've seen videos. So, let's see. Last year, y'all said the 7 seed would be done away with. So you're changed your mind at all. The Packers have a better record, 3 and 4 seed. If not, what needs to happen? Again, the way that I am about football, I love football. And when the quality of football is diminished, I get sad. That's when we were talking about expanding either teams or games, or even like the 7 seed. Listen, my team, the Packers, were the first team to win as the 7 seed. The justification of the 7 seed wasn't there until last season because they finally beat the Cowboys. So yes, if it winds up continuing being this way, cool, as long as it's good. I just don't want to see pointless games. I don't want it just to be like, oh, let's add another week just so we can just make more money and run more. I don't want to see that. I don't want there to be more teams because we don't have enough talented folks to fill the 32 rosters we have now. So again, I just don't want the product to be watered down, especially in the name of money, because at that point, it's just going to reduce the quality of the game. End of rant.
Speaking of money, did I mention today's episode is sponsored by Turtle Beach, Tom?
Hey, listen, I'm streaming them all.
Yeah, I was not a fan of adding the extra team to the playoff mix. But now that my team is benefiting from it, love it. It is the smartest thing I think the NFL's done in a long time, baby.
Who could have seen this coming?
Also, like I don't even think it mattered with the extra game. The Broncos won. They would have been in without that extra game, so it was even more irrelevant. But yeah, the Packers as a 7 seed in the NFC right now this year, I think that's a great example of why it's actually a good thing, because the Packers are a competitive team. They were in a crazy division. Without it, where do they wouldn't have been in, the postseason. So the extra team going in is, I think, pretty good.
There you go.
The new slang by the Shins is
the Shins. There you go.
There we go.
But yeah, no, I agree. And as long as it justifies its existence. And I'm saying this as a Packers fan. Again, like this is now 2 years in a row that my team has benefited from the 7 seed. As long as it leads to, like, I think it's going to be a good game. Like, I think the Eagles-Packers is going to be a pretty damn good game. Broncos-Bills, who knows what it's going to be like. Could potentially be a good game. But ultimately,
it will be a good game.
As long as it's quality football.
It should be. I think the Broncos will be competitive. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll be competitive. And it does break my heart. Von Miller.
Oh my God, the enemy, buddy. Did you see what he? Yep.
Oh God. Oh no, Vaughn. Yep. Oh no, Vaughn. Oh no, Vaughn! No!
Oh no!
Spoiler alert! Oh my God! I believe Vaughn's referring to himself as the Penguin in this situation.
You would,
you better hope it's not vice versa, Vaughn.
That's what I'm saying. If the Broncos pull it off, which, by the way, hold on. Yes, Bo Melton is probably going to be targeted more, especially with no Christian Watson going to be in there. They're going to need all hands on deck. I also love Bo Melton and his brother Max. When it comes to, before we even get into talking about the Broncos, did you see the sweet, sweet universal karma that the world bestowed upon you last night? Bo Nix posted a highlight video, which is pretty dope. We can't show it because of copyright, because it says Dream On in the background. Is good.
It does have that song.
Yeah. We'll get claimed immediately.
Dream. Weird. Bringing back Aerosmith. All right. All right, Bo Nix.
All right, let's go. I mean, that tracks. It tracks pretty well.
That feels like
the tracks.
He's like, what's a modern band out there that I could put with a highlight reel, because I don't want to drop this under my Christian worship music.
Well, hold on. What would the response?
Like, I think Aerosmith's still pretty popular,
still relevant.
Stevie Tyler.
I will never forget this. I was in high school, and I think I was 17, and my girlfriend at the time had interest in Aerosmith, and they were going to play at Jones Beach. And at the time, this was 2007. I looked up tickets, and nosebleeds were $1,000. And I was like, nope. I was like, nope.
To watch
so I never saw Aerosmith. Heard they put on a good show, but never saw Aerosmith. They should have put your song on there. If they remixed it and just put come on. But anyway, I got tagged on the Twitters, and they were like, that's Tom Grossi. So
little soundbite from Tom in there.
Made it into a Bo Nix highlight video. And after you put a season-long curse on my Packers,
the curse is real.
This is just justice.
I didn't put it on there, first of all.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I do respect the Broncos continuing to completely ignore me. So they've embraced you twice now.
You have a locker from the Broncos behind you.
Yeah, but put me in a fucking video. That's my next request. And I saw someone was like, oh, they probably couldn't find a clean soundbite from Perna. I don't swear that much, guys.
I don't know. Hey, that kid's mom doesn't let him watch you.
Dear
no,
God.
big offseason. Big
Uh,
offseason coming. It's true.
One of the first cassettes I ever bought was Aerosmith's Big Ones.
Ooh.
So that's probably it was like their greatest hit compilation. I had to choose between that or Guns N' Roses. I went with Aerosmith. I probably made the wrong
Was it
choice.
Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses? Like,
I forget. I don't know.
oh God.
But I remember like showing my dad thinking he would think the Aerosmith cassette tape was cool. And he's like, they're okay. I was like, oh, damn.
Hey, I will say his voice is insane.
Well, yeah, Steven Tyler's voice is insane.
Steven Tyler's voice is fantastic. Unless, coaching, hubris. I'm trying to do an acronym.
Oh, Meyer was the chud for sure.
He was the real chud. He really was. I mean, the GM did put together the roster, right? Yeah. I mean, again, I think it turned into, there was some backlash that Gerard Mayo was kind of, I don't want to say gifted, but it was basically bestowed upon him. Like, this is who the new head coach is going to be. And I know some fans were like, well, are we even going to do like a process here? Like, are we going to do that? And I think if they did a full process and were a little bit more transparent with it, and they wound up with Gerard Mayo, like maybe, there's a difference. But I mean, we were talking about Vrabel going to the Patriots as soon as he got, released from the Titans.
Yeah.
That was last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just saying. It's Cowboys Super Bowl prediction. They will be all in side on their couches watching it. So, Perna, want to go through some head coaching vacancies, my friend?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up now.
Let's do it. I went to Chipotle. Is Brian Flores on that list?
Oh, I was listening to Ryan Fitzmagic talking about Brian Flores. Very interesting take from Fitzmagic. I would suggest going to Fitzy's Twitter and listening to it, but Fitzmagic, of course, played with Flores when he was in Miami. And he said, like, he had mixed, I don't want to say mixed messages, but he did a good job complimenting the things Brian Flores did well, and then also illustrating why he would be hesitant to give Brian Flores a head coaching job. One thinks he's a good, smart coach, right? Two, said that everybody in the building that wasn't like a coach had a ton of respect and really enjoyed Brian Flores being a head coach. He's like, people working at the facility, like everybody, was great with that, with treating everybody with respect. Outside of the, he's like, the coaching room, not a great place. What's his face? Just edging to this?
Yeah, I mean, Perna, obviously, but like, Mac, I'm just glad you're keeping busy.
Thanks, Mac.
I'm glad you're enjoying the show, Mac.
And then he basically said, kind of what we all got there, that Flores was not collaborative. It was his way, his ego got in the way, and he also said, like, if you were to call coaches that worked for him and ask for a reference, you probably aren't going to get any. So it was not good. There were some good takeaways he had about Flores, and he thinks Flores has learned from those mistakes, especially like probably this last season under Kevin O'Connell, seeing how Kevin O'Connell leads, because Flores came from New England, right? And we've seen so many guys crash and burn coming out of there because Belichick did things a certain way and it worked because it was Belichick and Brady for so long, but that's not going to translate everywhere you go.
Sure.
So the question, if you're looking at Brian Flores as your head coach, is like, is he going to be a better person to work with as a head coach this time around? And I think that's a hard thing to gauge. He said Flores is very charming, that he will probably nail any interview he does. But he was like, I still would have pause about hiring him as a head coach. So go listen to what Fitzmagic said. I think it's a really good, fair take on him.
Yeah. I mean, they already fired their defensive coordinator, Aiden, so they're going to have to go get another one. And Zach Taylor's going to be safe for now. But I think in terms of heading into 2025, Zach Taylor's seat is probably going to be one of the warmest to start the season.
Ooh,
I would imagine. I think
a warm seat.
Yeah, warm seat. A little bit warm. Yeah. It is, Sydney. You know, it is about overcoming that as well. But I think,
yeah,
if you look at the difference between Nathaniel Hackett and Sean Payton, and obviously there is a significant difference just in terms of experience there, and what Payton was able to do with the Broncos as opposed to what Nathaniel Hackett. Yes, Nathaniel Hackett was rocking with Russell Wilson, but all that great stuff. But at the end of the day, like what Payton was able to do, I think you see the difference between, more experienced coaches and not.
Yeah.
So you could have a guy, like there's a bunch of teams that are currently looking like, hey, we want folks who have head coaching experience. It feels like that's just becoming more and more valuable. And again, like the pendulum swings because every now and then there'll be like a college coach that people will be like, oh man, like we really want to hire this person that might translate to the NFL, like Lincoln Riley, right? Like how many times has he been touted as the next like NFL head coach? So I don't know. It's interesting, but there's a lot of vacancies. I did a video about this yesterday, and a lot of them are interviewing the same people. So I'm very curious to then what organizations do when it's just going to come down to tossing money at a situation of being like, hey, let's try to pull some folks over here. Because I had the pleasure of being in the live chat for the Jaguars press conference with Trent Baalke. They had Khan on there as well. And it was a disaster. They had that chat public. Oh, the clown emotes that were flying.
I think that might have set a record for most clown emojis ever used on YouTube.
But the answers were awful. Because, like, again, shout out. They don't get a ton of shout outs, but shout out for them doing that. And, like, saying, all right, we're going to take some questions here. Though the questions had to have been asked beforehand because there was a few reporters that got skipped because the question had already been asked because that was said a couple times. But ultimately, like, they were talking about firing Trent Baalke as Trent Baalke was there. He was just sitting there kind of just like chilling. And some reporters did ask, like, hey, was there a thought of like getting rid of the GM? And like, do you think it's going to limit the amount of folks that you can bring in and candidates you can bring in because you currently have the GM? And there was one question that was asked about if a head coach came in and suggested changes to the front office, especially GM, would that be listened to? And he's like, yeah, I'd listen to them if they put together some good points. I'm like, what? Well, first of all, your GM is sitting right there, right? Which just makes it more comical. But two, if you could be persuaded by a person who's not in the building, as a head coach candidate coming in and going, you know what? I think the way that I'm going to be successful is if this guy gets fired, and you go, that sounds like a great idea. And you can't evaluate that for yourself. Like, I understand that they got head coaches, they got GMs answering to Khan directly. But my friends, like, it's not resulting in anything good. Trent Baalke, I swear, I don't know how that man still has a job. And I feel for Jaguars fans because as we talk about, usually it's easier to fire head coaches. It's easier to get rid of GMs. It's the owners that are the problem here. I think you got a bit of a both problem right now in which like Khan is very committed to Jacksonville and to the city. And that, like, just seeing that during 30 and 30 of like, hey, we're going to be here, that I respected because there was a time, especially from outside media, that was like, oh man, they're going to London. They're going to be gone. But they are committed to building infrastructure. And there's plenty of things that you can point out about that are problematic. But I think of just the gesture of, hey, want to stay in Jacksonville, infrastructure's there, going to renovate the stadium. Great, wonderful. Yeah. But holy crap, the day-to-day football operations, like, I feel like you need to take a big step back. You need to hire a GM that knows what the hell they're doing. And you need to get a head coach that is going to be hired by that GM. And you need to kind of be just hands off because being directly involved in those football operations, and there's plenty of owners that do that around the league, it is not working out for a bunch of them.
Yeah. I talked to a Jags fan last week, somebody who actually worked for him, and he said, my fear is that Shad Khan is too nice. So that's somebody, worked for him, is a fan of the team, is like, I think he's too nice to get it right. And I think if Khan can hire the correct head coach, I feel like that's a good place to be. I think there will be loyalty there if you prove like you can win. I think like it's not the worst situation to be in right now with Trevor Lawrence. So they just got to nail it, and I think it becomes very hard to nail that with Trent Baalke there, and
Correct.
that's
That's
the
the
issue.
because are you going like that? I think that's a really great question. And again, we are only hearing what we hear, right?
Yeah.
I've read a lot of reports, my friend. And again, not inside the building, that people are not going to want to go to Jacksonville because of Trent Baalke.
Sure.
And like that is a huge problem when you have what you just paid your franchise quarterback $55 million a year.
Yeah.
You need to, there's a window. You need to start winning some games. The defense was atrocious. It was like the worst defense in the freaking league. Like it's a problem right now for the Jaguars. And any head coach that comes in they can only do so much if the roster building's not there. And again, like Brian Thomas Jr., phenomenal pick, right? Could be considered for offensive rookie of the year. But at the same time, anything that is going to potentially dampen the candidates you're going to bring in or inhibit your search, you're just not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we're at a point too where we're asking the same question about the Bears, right? Do they have the right GM in place?
And they don't have the right ownership in place. That's the problem.
Well, we know that. What was the dumb fucking quote McCaskey had yesterday that was
about the relationship between the GM and the head coach, and it was a matter like their contracts of like lining up and making sure like, oh, does it matter that they're basically in sync with one another in terms of their deals? Like the GM could get fired. Like now they're rocking with polls, right?
Yeah.
So the Bears need to nail this, but their GM is in the same exact situation Eberflus was just in, which has been the same situations that previous GMs and head coaches have been in.
Yeah.
And it just feels like we're doing this over and over and over again. And this is one of the things I know Colts fans and Dolphins fans and Giants fans, maybe not as many Giants fans, but there's like some, we didn't move on from either our GM or our head coach. I think look at the Titans, for example. The Titans moving on from their GM, and now they have a head coach with there's still plenty of question marks. That is sometimes not the best move at all, because if you are bringing someone in and there's still a hot seat for a head coach or a GM, dude, like, their chemistry, their ability to work with one another, like that matters. And if a GM did not hire that head coach, or a GM or a head coach, is getting a brand new GM, they're going to want to do things certain ways. Yeah, it's tough, dude. That's, you're putting yourself in a situation that could blow up in your face. And for the Bears, like they've seen this a gajillion times. They just need to nail this head coaching hire. And even then, they also need to nail their draft. And Ryan Poles, I think, is still going to be on a hot seat.
The Bears the dealer keeps showing 18. They're sitting at 17. They keep hitting and they keep busting. Busting. I think they need kind of a hard ass head coach. I think Vrabel makes sense for the Bears and the Jags. Obviously, there's the connections, to the Patriots, but I would like to see him go somewhere else. I think he would be the right choice for Chicago, but I want to put him in Jacksonville. I want to save Jacksonville. The Bears, they have a head coach vacancy. Patriots, the Jets, who Robert Saleh expected to be hired back in San Francisco as their defensive coordinator. The Niners fired their special teams and their defensive coordinator, I believe. I think Robert Saleh is interviewing for the Jags head coaching position as well. Then you got I keep forgetting the Saints need a head coach.
Yep, Dennis Allen gone, and then Antonio Pierce.
The Raiders entered the chat.
Yep.
So
now, for the kitty.
If Tom Brady's not in the mix for the Raiders, they feel like, not as head coach, but as he's got partial ownership in the Raiders now, right? Expected to be involved in this process. If he's not there, they feel like the least desirable place to go coach. They don't have their quarterback.
Yep.
They are picking 6th. So they might have to move up to get a quarterback. So then you're giving away assets to build around your quarterback.
The offense needs to get reworked. Like Bowers had a phenomenal season, but you need an injection of talent on that offense.
So it's who's going to go to the Raiders? The Saints. Derek Carr already said, I ain't taking a pay cut. Great. Good job, Derek. You need help more than any other quarterback in the league. But keep your $40 million. It is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Don't rework your deal to spite your face. So
Jets need a new GM and they need a new head coach. So the Jaguars, but unfortunately they're rocking still. Real quick, Boogie, this is the question again. I get it. And this is coming from an outside perspective. I understand where Steelers fans are coming from. I don't know. Like, Perna, do you have any other thoughts like on Tomlin? Because like he's a good coach.
Yeah,
he is a good coach, man. And I understand. I don't think oh man, I don't know if this is a hot take. I think the only benefit that you have with firing Mike Tomlin is you are going to get a lesser coach in there, which means you're going to have a worse record and you're going to be picking higher in the draft. So maybe you can go get a franchise quarterback. I think that's more
about what it is. How do we get a quarterback? It ain't Russell Wilson, guys. I'm sorry. And now that I said that, he's going to play great this weekend. It ain't Russell Wilson. Probably not Justin Fields. The Raiders or the Steelers got to go all in for Sam Darnold. They gotta say, Sam, we will pay you a cajillion. People are already saying Kirk Cousins to the Steelers.
Oh boy!
What if Aaron Rodgers joins the Steelers?
Don't blink. If you're a blinker, cut your eyelids off.
Ugh, it's
like assuming like
there you go, Pats. Yeah,
is a good head coach.
I think he's a good, yeah.
Your problem is you don't have a fucking quarterback and you haven't had one since Big Ben retired, and that's just the NFL. You don't got an elite quarterback. It is hard to win games consistently.
And yet they still haven't had a, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think the mark of it, I get it. Steelers fans, I understand completely because you're doing the same crap every single season. Winning record. And it's great for Mike Tomlin's resume. But as a team, it's tough picking 15 or 20 or going to the wild card, getting blown out by the Chiefs, getting blown out by I get it. But my dude, like for him to take some of those rosters, and some of those rosters were bad, and they don't have a losing season.
Yeah.
Like that's a good coach. It's a good freaking coach.
It's not a coaching problem. It's a quarterback problem. And I mean, there's other problems too. It's like George Pickens is one of the weirdest receivers in the league.
So talented, but like,
he's insanely talented. Not on the same page all the time with the quarterback. Sometimes he's taking plays off and that affects the overall play. Like there's all these issues there, but who knows?
Aaron Glenn is he's interviewing with more teams than Ben Johnson is. So Ben Johnson's just going with the Bears and the Patriots right this second. Yeah. It seems that the Patriots really want, let me just put it this way. It seems the narrative is that the Patriots really want Vrabel. That's where it seems it's going to be going, which at that point, I don't know why you didn't just do this last year.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, Glenn, I would not be surprised he's going to get a job.
Yeah. For the Steelers too, you've got to have your sights on a coach that is at least a possible big improvement over Tomlin or is as good as Tomlin, right? Like
who?
And usually when there's 6 teams looking for a head coach, your options are a little more limited. And now that's supposedly why the Raiders waited to fire Antonio Pierce, was they were looking into a couple options as their next head coach and needed to make sure that they would be available before they pulled the trigger and moved on. Don't know if that's true, but like that's what I read. So I think the Raiders are probably the least desirable spot to go at the moment. If you're a head coach, Tom, do you want to go and coach Caleb Williams, Drake May, or Trevor Lawrence? Like, you're a head coach. You believe in yourself. Which quarterback? Because that's got to be what it comes. I mean, coaches are going to interview in all these spots. Like, where do you want to go?
But if I'm a head coach, man, I'm looking at that organization. I'm not going to Jackson. I love Trevor Lawrence. I'm not going to Jacksonville. I think I think New England.
I think it's the most desirable spot.
I agree. They're keeping Mike McDaniel, by the way. So yeah, no, Ben Johnson's not going to Miami. They already said that they're keeping everybody.
And they got Broncos quarterback coach Davis Webb. I think he's going to interview. Where's he interviewing? Now he's not going to get the job.
Hey, Jets are trying to snag some Goody's right-hand man over here. Just saying.
The Saints have requested to interview Davis Webb for their head coaching position. Webb is the Broncos QB coach. Webb is 29. He's 29 years old. But this is how the process works, right? Like, Ben Johnson, was it last year or was it even the year before? Or is Bobby Slowick too? Like, okay, they're probably not going to get hired this round. They're going to go out. They're going to do their interviews. That's how you start making impressions on organizations, how you get your name thrown into the mix. And that's what's happening
with Ben Johnson last year. Like, the whole interview process.
So Johnson, it was Slowick. Davis Webb doing it now.
What's your favorite Halo game, Perna?
Halo favorite one?
Halo Reach, baby.
I mean, Halo 2 was hard to beat.
Sometimes it's the beach gods.
I like them all.
Especially their baby turtles. There's a tough life out there.
Well, yeah, usually the beach wins.
Usually beach wins.
You see how many of those turtles don't make it? Those little baby, that's why there's like 200 of them.
Exactly, Ryan. You should try it more often. Yeah, I think you know what's interesting too? I think the Patriots have the worst roster too, out of the ones that you're talking about, because you mentioned the Bears, the Jaguars, and the Pats, right? I think the Patriots have the worst roster in terms of they just need a lot. Like their defense, they've lost some key guys over the years. They still got some damn good playmakers, especially in the backfield. But like they've lost a bunch of folks. That offense needs to get reworked. They need offensive line. They need receivers. Like they need a bunch of things. But
okay,
I think just the consistency of the organization, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable with.
Davis Webb not interviewing, was not requested to interview. God damn it, I hate Twitter.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Oh, also, real quick, you know who's not going to be interviewing with the Chicago Bears? Mike McCarthy. Because the Dallas Cowboys said, nay. They rejected the Bears' request and McCarthy's still under contract. Was it 6 more days? I think it's like
how down bad are you if you're the Bears and you're looking at the guy you think might get fired and they're like, nah. I think McCarthy's going back. He's got to be coming back then, right?
He might be coming back. I think he might be going back.
And like, Mike McCarthy staying with the Cowboys is a much better situation, I think, than Mike McCarthy going to the Bears. Like, it was a bad season in Dallas. There's multiple reasons for that.
Yeah.
But I would trust him to have success there next season versus him trying to save the fucking Bears.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
I think that's fair. Yeah. I think that's very fair. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. The Cowboys are in this place where they just paid Dak Prescott. They just paid CeeDee Lamb. They have to pay Micah Parsons. And it just seems like they have a talented roster. There are still gaps and still holes on those rosters, but I don't know, man. I think, again, you just look at the organization. It's tough right now. It's tough.
I don't think we have a clue who's getting hired in any of these spots.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, if I had to guess, like who's going where, Ben Johnson, if he winds up, and again, we're just going to assume that these guys are moving, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Ben Johnson, Bears seems pretty likely, because it is heavily rumored that Vrabel and the Patriots are. I would not. I would not.
Patriots, Ben Johnson to the Bears.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it's that. Saints,
maybe Robert Saleh surprises and takes the Jags job.
Maybe Saints. Maybe they. Or you know what? I would like Saleh to go to the Jaguars or have Aaron Glenn go to the Jaguars because that defense needs to get significantly better.
Yeah.
And I feel like Glenn or Saleh could make that better. The Jets could have used a guy like Saleh. I'm sorry, if they turn around and hire Aaron Glenn, they just we'll see.
Aaron Glenn to the Jags makes sense too because he doesn't have to be tasked with developing Trevor Lawrence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Lawrence been around the block here in the NFL. Obviously, they need more from Trevor Lawrence. Your offensive coordinator hiring is big there, but Aaron Glenn to one of those other spots with, Caleb or Drake, I think that's not as good of a fit for Aaron Glenn. I guess you could say the same thing with the Saints too for Glenn if he gets an interview there. The 49ers want Saleh to come back though. Like if you're a 49ers fan,
I think that's a lock.
You've seen life without him. I think that would be good for him to go back there. Oh yeah, and Monken, Todd's getting.
Yeah, well, I think it's also the Bears are interviewing everybody in like they are just saying, hey, we are casting the widest net. So I know that there's
the Jets interview list. I think there's such thing as interviewing too many guys. To me, that sounds like you don't have a plan at all.
Oh, you mean the Jets don't have a plan?
Yeah.
They don't have a GM either. Like, oh, that's crazy. That's super weird that the Jets seem unorganized. Yes, I think they're just interviewing everybody. But I mean, if you want to look at, oh man, there are some names on that Jets list. There are some names on that Bears list that I go, oh boy. That would be.
Nagy, Flores, McCown, Arthur Smith, Vrabel, Rivera, Rex Ryan, Brian Greasy, Vance Joseph,
Bobby Slowick. Like I don't know how you look at the Texans offense this year and go, "Yup, that's what we need. That's what we need." Prime Gilmore or prime Jalen Ramsey.
Oh my God, just get out of here.
Maybe Jalen. Maybe. Not Jalen Ramsey now, but
they're both good.
Yeah, maybe.
Joe Brady, Bills OC.
Yes.
I don't know if he gets hired this round, but I
feel
like
he does. Could be wrong, but I don't think he does.
Yeah.
Vance Joseph.
Vancey Pantsy. I don't know if he gets a gig this round.
Same. Alexander, it was so bad. I was in that chat. It was bad.
Rex, Ron,
again, one of the jobs as an owner / GM / head coach, obviously you have the on the field product, right?
Yeah.
But it is communicating with the fans, especially if things are not going well. And that is not what they did.
What has Arthur Smith done that's like makes you go, yeah, head coach material again? What's the complaint about the Steelers right now? Their offense is tanked at the worst possible time. And I'm not even saying that's Arthur Smith's fault. But this guy can come in and change our team. What you want to see from the Steelers offense in the last 4 games is scoring points.
Ain't helping.
It is the head coaching hiring process is one of the
over $250,000. Let's go.
It's one of the hardest jobs to do. And you're right. You see the same people who have failed get considered again and again and again.
Because, and we've talked about this, but as we are heading into these head coaching hirings, I would like to bring up this conversation again. The NFL is so incestuous. It is who you know. It is all about connections. It is, hey, let's get family members in here. Let's get old friends in here. We know this person. That is how a good chunk of jobs are gotten in the NFL. And it can come down to ownership of who they're going to bring in. Mike McCarthy went and hung out at Jerry Jones's house for a while. You know what I mean? It's a number of things that is going to determine who is going to get hired. And when you see some folks get these opportunities again, you're just like, I'll bring his name up again. I don't know how Josh McDaniels got another job in the NFL. After what happened with Indianapolis, I do not know how you can go, I am taking this job. Never mind, I am not taking this job. And you still get paid millions of dollars by an organization in the NFL. It'd be really funny.
Yeah, I get like the Colts considering him for that second time, going, okay, maybe he learned. Maybe he learned. But after that, Raiders. That's why I think they're the least desirable spot, too.
Yeah. No, the Raiders are in a tough spot. The Raiders are in a tough spot. Like, this was something that we talk about during 30 and 30. Like, I bring this up all the time of like having franchise players. There was 3 jerseys. There was 3 jerseys that they had there of like, hey, these are the staples of our team. Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, Max Crosby. 2 of them are gone. Who knows what's going on with Max Crosby?
Yeah. He was the biggest advocate for Antonio Pierce. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
you think Carroll goes to the Raiders.
Oh, Petey? Old Pete Carroll? Yeah, he still wants to coach, right?
That'd be interesting.
I mean,
you get experience. Like, you do get experience. Like,
the Seahawks weren't necessarily better without him. So, they're about the same.
I
would take Pete if I were the Raiders. The Raiders, I feel like you're going to have to settle. If you're settling for Pete Carroll, that's kind of a win.
Yeah. I mean, listen, but I think this speaks to Mike Tomlin again. Dude, Antonio Brown, I will never forget him going to the Raiders and everyone clowning on the Steelers of how they got ripped off. What was it, like a 5th round pick? And the just disaster that occurred there.
I mean, we thought he was a Bill. We thought Antonio Brown was a Bill. And that's before we knew Josh Allen was Josh Allen.
Oh, who's the tougher? Oh my God. I'd love to see Saints and Jets fans fight over this.
I think Jets is a tougher job.
I agree, just because you don't have a GM. The ownership is the ownership. Saints, you have Mickey Loomis, but yeah, I think they're in a not a great spot roster-wise. The Jets, I feel like you can win with the roster, though. I feel like you can win with it, but I just don't know organizationally. That might make it a tougher job. You know what I mean? So, yeah. I mean, again, QB has been the problem in Pittsburgh for a bit. Like, they don't have consistency there. They haven't had, and even when Ben was there, especially older Ben, it was not good. It was not.
And the Saints, they have Derek Carr. I gave Derek Carr shit earlier, but Derek Carr is not the worst quarterback in the NFL. So if you're going into that spot, at least you've got a guy. Not the guy.
Like, there's some guys you build around. Olave, comes back from injury. He's really good.
And they have Rattler. Who knows?
Bears should get him. The Bears should go get Matt Nagy.
Matt Nagy to the Saints. Maybe that will happen.
Oh my God! Why would you do that to the Saints? That is just.
Hey man, look what he's done with that Chiefs offense.
That's not right.
Twice. He's done it now twice, Tom.
Nope.
It's why, and also too, like, okay, I get Ben Johnson and the intrigue there, right? I do. Was it Joe Brady? Is that the guy? Joe Brady, Bills OC.
Yep.
Matt Nagy. Those guys are coaching 2 of the best quarterbacks on planet Earth. It was like Peyton Manning getting freaking Adam Gase a job. God dang, I can't even remember. Mike McCoy. McCoy, Tebow, then Manning. Like, why do NFL GMs or owners not associate a good offensive coordinator with their quarterback? And I'm not saying, Joe Brady doesn't deserve a chance to be a head coach one day. He's clearly better than Ken Dorsey was.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God, yeah.
But he's coaching Josh fucking Allen. It doesn't make him, like, head coach material right away. Like,
but we've seen that before, man. I mean, listen.
I know, it happens every time. Like, Vance Joseph right now is going to get looks because the Broncos defense has been good. And that's a little more fair. But Vance also set the bar so low for himself that the fact that they got respectable again.
Yes.
And now they've identified like some great talent there. And he coached up a defense that had a lot of no names. So Vance, I get. These coordinators with the elite ass QBs, like that's a tough one.
Yeah. So someone did ask before, yeah, Mike Kafka is getting looks. He's the Giants OC. And you're just like, what have you seen out of that? That you're like, oh man, like that's definitely who I want. Yeah, trying to get rid of Petzing. They're like, take him. He's great. Yeah. He's fantastic. Ooh, who wins in a fight between Vrabel and Dan Campbell?
Probably Dan. I'm gonna go Dan.
He probably bites him.
Yeah. Who's younger?
Vrabel does damage though.
Yeah, but Vrabel's, I feel like he's just. Let me get the age. Mike Vrabel.
No problem, No problem.
Dude, if they did a boxing match though, and Netflix live stream Vrabel versus Dan Campbell,
that one I'd watch.
That should be the Pro Bowl. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Vrabel's 49.
Exactly, boy.
So he's almost 50. Dan Campbell, 48. Ooh, I thought Campbell was a little younger than him. Ooh, that is an all-timer.
Yeah, Bradley was the one who definitely needed to go, and he needed to go. So at least they made that step in the right direction.
Campbell's 6'5". Vrabel's 6'4".
Dude, I think Vrabel might.
No, Vrabel's a dog. I'm not taking that. He's
got that dog in him.
I thought Vrabel's a little older. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Dan Campbell will bite a kneecap, but Vrabel said he'd cut off his penis for a Super Bowl. So those are two crazy guys. I think the fight ends when one of them is dead. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They'd
be like, okay, exhibition match over. There's no winner. And they're like, they just take off. They're like, no, we're going bare knuckle now.
That could be the greatest coaching battle in NFL history in terms of fight.
I agree. It'd be entertaining. It definitely would. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Aaron Glenn goes to see, like, that's the thing for the Saints. I want them to get an OC. Like, I want them to go get an offensive-minded coach. I think it would serve him well. I think there's also a little bit of a want for it after Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen's good defensive coordinator. Good defensive coordinator. So that's true. Yeah. Trevor has gone through it. Like, we talk in terms of like consistency. Yeah. The Jaguars have not had a lot of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, they got about two. Who is it? Shane just came out with a quote saying, right, like he's not gonna, pull a Hail Mary move to try and save his job, which good that is. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go for it all. And if it winds up screwing the franchise, it screws the franchise. Yeah, that's
he's not, like, you know what? I can't let Saquon Barkley walk twice. So I already made my worst mistake.
Maybe
I won't make it again.
They go get Genty and then they trade him, or they just let him walk in a couple years. Yeah. That's fine. It's fine.
Baker Mayfield's just churning out offensive coordinators as head coaches. If Liam Cohen gets a head coaching gig, he would have gotten Freddie Kitchens a job. He got Dave Canales his job, and then he would have gotten Liam Cohen his job.
No,
I thought Baker would regress without Canales this year, but you've been good.
No, I am the wrong person to ask that question. I don't even take a look at college until after the football season's over. Yeah. Way wrong person. Apologies.
I'm watching two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Give me that tight end from Penn State.
Thoughts after looking at Mariota's stats, playing in relief of Daniels. I don't think that's going to have any bearing on award. No, Marcus Mariota played very well, which is super dope. I understand the point you're trying to make. I don't think that's again. I think it is Jayden Daniels' award to lose because you have to think about it, folks. The people who are voting for MVPs, right? The journalists, they're going with the most amount of hype as well.
Yeah,
because they don't want to be the person to be like, oh, we picked the person who wasn't the MVP.
Yeah, and the hard thing for Bo Nix in that conversation, like if you're gonna look at Mariota, Bo got to play a B squad to close out the season,
sure,
and throw 4 touchdowns. So it is what it is.
That's right.
Tyler Warren, he's mine. Ty Warren is my tight end. Broncos need it. Will Keys was on Ty Warren all the way back in, I don't know, September, October.
Let me put it this way, Josh. Like, if the Bills win a freaking Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl this year, then that noise is going to get a lot louder. So, yeah.
I think the Bills will go to the Super Bowl.
They have the second best offense in points per game. They're 9th in both pass and rush. It's a balanced attack. Spags
I
is
think
probably
it's Bills-Ravens championship game.
Mm.
No, the Bills got to play the Ravens
Can't be
before
Bills
that
Chiefs.
happens.
Yeah.
No, it won't. The Chiefs are going to lose. It'll be Bills-Chargers championship game.
Spags, I don't know. Does he want another head coaching gig? Man, like he gets.
No,
to,
I don't think he does.
as I'm saying, like he gets to be a coordinator, just win Super Bowls,
No.
man. Like
I think there's this thing with coordinators too. Like the whole goal is to become a head coach, right? It's the pinnacle. You can make all the money. You get to call the shots. And then some guys learn, like, you know what? Just being really good at the defense is a better fit for me. And they all have to learn it the hard fucking way, you know?
Yeah.
It took Vic Fangio 80 years of coaching to get a head coaching gig. Some guys like Spags, like, just why would you leave while you've got Mahomes opposite of you? An organization who's going to refuel your roster.
Yeah.
Every year. I wish Ben Johnson would do that with the Lions until they've kind of like gotten through their full window, you know?
By the way, Xavier McKinney named All-Pro, but also Jalen Hurts is practicing today. I know that there was some of that narrative. I mentioned it in power rankings yesterday. There was going to be like, oh, is Jalen Hurts going to play? The only reason he wasn't out of concussion protocol the day before was because they didn't practice. So he's going to play. I don't think there's anyone who's doubting that. So we'll see how prepared he is, but we'll see. We will see.
Get out of here. Ty's mine.
Alt. Hey, listen, you guys share all the time. Berna, what you got coming out, brother?
Power rankings. Flower rankings.
All right, so you got the big old power rankings. Hey, I did 14 teams because we did every single playoff team. So,
nerd. This is the week you do 12 because Lions and Chiefs don't play, bro.
Oh boy.
Why are we going to talk about the Lions and Chiefs? Actually, I do have a good Lions part, but
I said, listen, Jaguars fans, start the petition, interview Tom Grossi. I will go and talk to Khan and say, hey, I think you should fire Trent Baalke. I will have an entire presentation. I'll do it right in front of him. It's fine. And just so maybe you can get rid of him, and then you could go to GM too. I won't take the job, but I'll be like, you need to do this. I will, listen, former teacher, I will create the best PowerPoint you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah. If you get the job, can I be the cord wrangler that holds you back?
Yes, absolutely.
That's the job I want.
So we could do that. It pays $25,000 a year.
A day?
No, a year.
A day.
A year.
I'll stick with YouTube.
It's your loss. That's fine. That's fine. Oh, just the end of the world. Yeah, I'll be having predictions coming out today for the wild card round. If there is not, I'm going to also start with the season reactions. If that doesn't come out today, they'll start tomorrow. We're going to rock and roll with that. All 32 teams. We're going to try to get them done early this year. Please God. But folks, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. That's Brandon Perna. We'll see you on Friday. This is GPS, and you have been navigated.
And you have reached your destiny.
Look at